Good afternoon, everyone. Tough act to follow. Lunch is always very tough to follow, and I hope I will make sense to a lot of you. Just a brief background. I am from Kiddo Enterprises. We are a 20-year-old organization working in the preschool space. We specialize in the preschool and Montessori segment. My background, the lady just gave briefly. I did my BTech in aerospace engineering from IIT Bombay, and then I went on to do my MBA from IIM Calcutta. Sounds all very jazzy and nice, but you know what, when I look back now, I just wonder why I did it. Why I went to IIT, why did I do aerospace engineering, why did I do MBA post that, and whatever we do, I actually set very early in our life. And all this is an impact of what you actually have, what happens in the first few years of your childhood. And especially working in the preschool space, the experiences, the kind of things you're exposed to in your childhood, especially between the age group of 0 to 7, plays a very vital role in what we become and what we end up doing. For all you know, I might be sitting in Amazon and doing some rainforest study instead of having joined IIT Bombay or IIT. So essentially, that's the importance of preschool education. 0 to 7, the child is capable of absorbing so much. They say it's like a sponge. You throw everything at it, the child absorbs. As much as you can throw, as much as the child absorbs. So it's extremely important that we understand that at this stage of development, we pay ample preschools. 30 years back, people used to question, why do I put my child in preschool? Why should I, just directly put them in the first grade after, homeschooling sometime. Most of them are joint families, so they grew up with other children, they play around and then directly go to the first family. Now you find preschools in every nook and corner. You find preschool education has come a long way. And every parent is sending their child to a preschool. But the question arises, do they understand why they're sending the child to a preschool? There is limited in India doing. A lot of people, a lot of parents are not aware of what they should expect from a preschool. Most parents look at it as, 3 hours, mukti, I don't have my child to, shout in the house, it's extremely happy, and 3 hours they're off my hair. It's exactly what one of the parents used. The child is off my hair for 3 hours, and I'm extremely happy. And that's a parent's perspective, and they look at it as 3 hours of child having fun in preschool. And in the process, they learn a few shapes and colors and think, great. That's it. That's all they're looking at as a preschool. You look at it from a teacher's or a play school's perspective today. You have a dime a dozen play schools across every nook and corner. Most of them obviously heed to the parents' market, which is that, I run a preschool so that I keep the child happy for 3 hours and everyone's happy. I'm happy, the child is happy, the parents are happy, it's great. So that's the perspective. So all you do is have a lot of song and dance routines. You have a lot of nursery rhymes. You have a lot of few toys just thrown in, the child just plays with it, and that's it. So preschool education is complete. So this is exactly the kind of scenario that is there today. I'm not talking about, there are a lot of good schools, a lot of doing a lot of different things, but given the importance of the early childhood space, given the importance that most child psychologists say that 0 to 7 years is so important, the child, the personality traits of the child, the attitude to learn, what they end up becoming in the future, whatever they, child psychologists go to the extent of saying that, between the 0 to 7, the child learns, beyond 7 is just an application of what they have learned. So given this scenario, are we paying enough attention to this space? Are we paying enough attention to the childhood, early childhood space? Are we paying enough attention in our education institutions to what we are providing as an education, as an environment for the preschool child? So this is what is quite an important need of the hour. The education system today, there's a lot of focus on 1st standard to 12th standard. There's a lot of focus on what needs to go, what kind of curriculum to be followed, activity-based learning, etc. But there's very little work that's going on in the preschool segment. So we are actually working in this segment for 10 years and we're trying to make a small change there. We're basically inspired a lot by Dr. Maria Montessori. We talked about all this, the importance of early childhood education, and we're talking about it right now. But this lady, about 120 years back, figured out the importance of early childhood education. And she came up with concepts which were revolutionary then, and it's revolutionary even now, it's applicable even now. She talked about how the child learns in a structured environment, and the child, this is a child which is between the ages of 2 to 6. A young child which is learning, which is put in an environment where they're allowed to explore, they're allowed to discover, they're allowed to learn. They learn by doing, they take pride in their work. a lot of us here believe that, I'm sure, I can just ask a few people to raise their hands. How many of you believe that a child between the age of 2 to 6 loves silence? A lot of us would say no, because I can see a few hands. I mean, yes, a child between the age of 2 to 6 loves silence. They love to work in silence. They love to repeat what they're doing. Instead, most of us are kind of taught to believe that, a child between 0 to 6 is boisterous, is noisy, loves to make noise, and is not controllable, and throws temper tantrums and all that. But she kind of completely revolutionized even the thinking of how the child should be looked at. The child's psychology itself was changed when she came into the picture. So, and that's where you can actually have a child exposed to a variety of things, not just look at only nursery rhymes, singing, dancing, etc., but look at a whole lot of things. Look at the cognitive development, look at the emotionally allows the child to learn at a pace, but also making sure you're continuously motivating the child to Montessori materials, which are an integral part of the Montessori method. And also we help schools upgrade their existing environments into a Montessori method. We consult with the schools and try to upgrade them to the Montessori method if they're interested in upgrading them. We also have another line of solution which we have recently launched, which is called the Credo Early Childhood Solutions. For preschools, for individuals and schools who are looking to run and set up their own preschools, we provide an integrated solution which essentially comprises a lot of components. I'll just run you through 4 of them. It'll take about a couple of minutes. The first is the curriculum. Now, one of the fundamental things that we understand about, and this is very well understood from the 1st to 12th, that you need to have a curriculum, you need to have set objectives, you need to have what you're trying to teach the child. And then we go about designing textbooks and aids and laboratory and other materials, and then we actually go about educating the child. But coming to preschool education, it is a completely different ballgame because you're dealing with a child which is just developing. You probably, when the child enters a preschool, is probably not even talking. And then you need to put them in an environment and you need to make sure that they're developing. So the curriculum and what you're trying to achieve as objectives have been very, very defined as part of that. Now, a simple thing like, if you say curriculum, everybody understands it as, throw in a few toys, throw in again a few song and dance routines, and it's done. I just want to give an example of how this is fundamentally wrong. When, if you go to a traditional school and, you see how do you teach short as a picture, and then you have, this is what is taught to the child and saying, this is hot and that's cold. And a child at 2, 2.5, without experiencing, without feeling his sensory skills, without getting the sensory inputs, is not going to understand hot and cold. Similarly, loud and soft. Typically, most schools they'll do, you'll have a picture of a boy doing, that is loud, and this is soft. So that's all you're teaching the child by actually showing some pictures. But instead, you need to educate the child with materials. If you have what we call as a sound box, we have a set of materials that have a gradation of sounds. We have sounds that go from soft to loud. And also the child is not in understanding what is soft and what is loud, but is also able to differentiate. This is louder than that. This is softer than this. The gentleman before me was talking about technology and how he showed us the different hertz. Imagine that this child at the age of 2, 2.5, after having done something like this, is actually when it's going to go and look at something like that, they can scientifically relate to sounds given in terms of hertz, 440 hertz, 800 hertz, the vibrations compared to what they actually did in childhood. You have materials that actually go up to, trinomial, a plus b plus c the whole cube. You have materials that go to a plus b the whole cube. You have decanomial squares which go from a plus b plus c plus d the whole square. And this, a child is doing activities with it at between the age of 2 and 6. You're not trying to teach the square a plus b the whole cube is a cube plus b cube plus 3a square b plus 3b square. That is not the objective. You're trying to introduce the concept, and when they work with such materials, they learn. So curriculum has to be defined and structured. You have to have a sequence of things that lead one from the other. We have, a lot of your people here would have known about sandpaper tracing letters, typically used in language for phonetic teaching for the child. So if you the child traces A and then they say A. So when they keep tracing, they develop first of all the movement of the fingers that they understand, and the sensory input kind of gives them the sound of the alphabet also. But what we don't understand is before the child actually goes about doing tracing, they should differentiate between rough and smooth. Without differentiating rough and smooth, they can't do tracing. So essentially, you should have a curriculum that leads one to the other. It's not enough to give a set of toys and say, okay, let the child play with it and they'll learn. So the Credo Early Childhood Solution comprises of a curriculum, which is a structured curriculum, which talks about what objectives we're trying to meet in the child, and it comprises of materials. In early childhood education, materials are the most important things. You teach every concept through materials. And these materials enable the curriculum. And they are tightly tied in. It's not like you have the materials being somewhere, I mean, you basically go and pick something, pick and choose. You know, this is my objective, that's my material, try to force fit it. The materials are being made looking at the curriculum. The third concept is the teacher training. You know, you've done all this, you've got the materials, you've got the curriculum, but unless and until your teachers are trained to observe and use these materials, it's not going to work. So essentially we have a teacher training module which tells you how to actually use these materials. And the last component is the assessment. This is slightly dicey. When I say assessment, I'm not evaluating the child. I think let's try to differentiate the two. Evaluation is different, assessment is different. Assessment, you're trying to see what progress the child has made. And every child has unique objectives. Every child is different. We all pay lip service to the fact that every child is different. But what is the meaning of that? Every child develops at his own pace. So whatever the child needs, you need to give that to the child. The child may be very good in mathematics, he may reach fraction, but he may not be learned to talk. So essentially you look at the objectives for a child and assess the child as per his or her objectives. So this is the four main components of the solution which we have developed. And essentially what we are trying to do is, we all understand that early childhood is important. We are trying to give a comprehensive solution where it allows schools and educators to actually work with children in this space. One of the, as I was saying, the 0 to 6 years is very important. Everybody, what the fundamental traits we set in that time is probably what stays with a lot of individuals through the life. Not that they cannot change, but a lot of it stays with them for life. Essentially I love this, I was kind of inspired by what in 3 Idiots Amir Khan says, काबिल बनो, कामयाबी के पीछे मत दौड़ो, कामयाबी तुम्हारे पीछे दौड़ के आएगी. I mean, strive for excellence. That's more important. I think success will run behind you. If that can be inculcated in a child very early in life, strive for excellence in whatever you do. And that can be done between a child between 0 to 6. And if it stays with the child, that will stay with them for a lifetime. It will actually make them better human beings. That's what we're trying to do, and we need your help also.
Thank you very much, sir. That was really creating awareness, and you gave a variety of ideas and also gave a different perspective for play school. And kindly accept I request you to accept a memento, token of love from our side. Thank you, sir.